أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today we're going to have a discussion about a journey between a parent and a child in their journey with the Holy Quran. And it'll be an interesting find to see the challenges and the ups and the downs of this whole Quran journey between a parent and a child. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Salma Auntie and Rehana. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation, and inshallah we can learn a lot about your individual journeys and your collective journeys with the Holy Quran. But as customary, before we go into everything, I just want to find out where it all started for you, Salma Auntie, your journey with the Quran. We'll start off with Salma Auntie, in your journey as a mother and identifying the importance of the Quran. What was it that made you start this journey at a young age with your kids? What was your mindset like?
Okay, so like I said initially, that I think the background that I came from my own family was very Quran oriented, in the sense that my mom used to push me. We used to have every Thursday night Dua Kumail and Surah Yasin, which we used to listen to. Yeah. When I got married, the same background was there. So to instill it into my children was not very hard, because everyone was very supportive. Initially, it started off as just that my children should be able to recite well. Okay. And I think we used to have competitions in the mosque during Darsa in Ramadan, in the month of Ramadan. Yeah. And I remember I always thought that I knew my Quran quite well. And I entered this particular competition, and I was so sure that what I had done was right. And then when I got my paper back, it was like I had so many mistakes in it. And I came home and I told my mom, "What is this? I knew all this." So that made me find out where I had gone wrong. Okay. After finding out where I'd gone wrong, I started now realizing that my children needed to be pushed and they needed to learn all this. Okay. So that's where we started, and then, like Rehana said, she started competitions. Yeah. And I think each and every competition brought a new phase, like something new that we didn't know.
That's a very interesting point. There are two very interesting points that you raised there. One was the background and the environment that you're in. So I'm guessing that the environment that you're in, it was Quran oriented. So everyone was reciting Quran, but it doesn't have to be that everyone was like a Qari or like an amazing Quran reciter. As long as everyone is reciting Quran, that's the main thing, yes. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And the second thing that you mentioned was the competitions, which was very interesting, because a lot of times I speak to kids and children these days, and they say competition, Quran. Why should Quran is not about competition, but I think the mindset of a competition or the aim of a competition, not so that you come out first, like you rightly mentioned, it's about actually finding out where you're actually wrong. Because, like you said, when you went in the competition, you thought you were half decent, if not much better than that. But it actually does bring out where you can improve from, right?
Yes.
And that's a really two really good points. Thank you so much for sharing that. What about yourself, Rehana? So, like your mom said, that you started at a very young age. How did you? What was your reception to that? What did you feel? Did you feel that it was a good thing, or was it too pushy, or what did you feel?
No, I never felt pushed into it. Yeah, so my mom would encourage us, and I think growing up in a community with the madrasa who was very encouraging, and then even in terms of the Jamaat who's very encouraging, and they would give you that exposure to recite and encourage you when they have programs at the mosque for you to recite loudly. And obviously, if you are going to recite, you want to be able to recite well. Yeah. So I think all that pushed me, and although I wanted to add to that, so what you said about competitions, a lot of people do say that competitions, Quran should not be about competition. But actually, for me, I feel like that was one of my main motivations, to be honest. I'm very competitive by nature. And so that pushed me a lot to perfect my recitation and to learn more about it. And I know that shouldn't be the aim, but sometimes these things push you towards that direction, and then you learn so much from it. And so I think, yeah, it did play quite a big part of my journey towards perfecting my recitation.
No, that's very true in terms of the competition. Being young, obviously, we want to, and being competitive, obviously, you want to win. The aim is, a sub-aim is to win the competition. But but we all know in the back of our head, the ultimate aim is that even running up to the competition, you're trying to remove all those cobwebs and trying to remove all those mistakes, right? So in the back of your mind, you know that you need to improve your Quran recitation to be able to do well in the competition. Rehana, now, obviously, you're teaching Quran to your children as well. What sort of challenges are you finding? Similar sort of challenges as before, or are things changing?
So I mean, my children are still young at the moment, so we're not on like the big Quran yet, so it's just more like teaching her the basics. So I've noticed that if I don't inculcate it as part of her daily routine, she struggles to get on with it. So it has to be something that has to be done with her on a daily basis.
Okay.
And when I realized this was actually last year in Ramadan during the lockdown, we used to all pray together because obviously we were all at home, and so it helped. Then we'd recite Quran together, and I realized that she progressed so much when we were doing it every day. Okay. And so at that point, I realized that this should be done every day. And so we've tried to continue that. And although it might not even be longer than 5 minutes, because she's young, her attention span is not very long, and she's obviously tired by the end of the day, but just to make sure that she knows she has to do a little bit of Quran every day.
That's good. What exactly do you do with her?
So right now I'm just teaching her shaddas, basically. So we recite, I teach her the concept, and then she practices with me.
Can you give me an example of how you teach her?
I just, honestly, I just recite it for her, explain it to her. For example, so shadda would tell her, think about it as a ba with a sukoon and then a ba with a fatha, and then you would say like abba. And yeah, that's I mean, we have the Quran manual from the madrasa. It's given us an explanation on how to teach it to the kids as well. So that really helps too.
That's really good. And do you feel that how you're explaining things just now to your daughter, is it the same way that you learned things, or have things changed with time?
I mean, I don't remember when I was her age how I was taught, but I think from what I remember, I think it was more of listening and then reciting when I was younger, rather than teaching us how to recite. It was more like you listen to how someone recites and then you copy that. Whereas now I'm actually teaching her the concept from scratch.
Okay.
I would say I think that's the difference.
So before was mainly practical oriented, and then we've learned the theory. Whereas now,
basically,
Okay. We'll just go through. You mentioned root of Lam of Allah, Salma auntie. How would what is it, and how would you teach it?
Okay, so this is how I think till today I teach, and I feel the children find it easy to remember. That when you have a name of Allah, for example, and if you have to pronounce it with full mouth when there is a dhamma or there is a fatha. But when there is a kasra, it's empty mouth. Simple as that. So, like, for example, I don't go into all those details of why and how and what. I just tell them that. And I feel as they progress with the fluency, they catch on.
Okay. So when you're just introducing it, then it's just as simple as that. Fatha Dhamma. If you see a Fatha Dhamma before Allah, then it's pronounced with a full mouth. The Kasra before it, then pronounced with an empty mouth. For example, Bismillah. We would say Bismillah rather than Bismillah.
Okay.
Nice. That's
and
quite
you know,
simple.
Imranali, I used to have Quran classes at home with many kids, coming home. And I've noticed this worked. This was the best way of teaching them.
So they don't get too bogged down by the nitty-gritties of the rules.
Yes.
That comes later on once they want to learn more and have more passion.
Yes.
That's good. That's very good. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I think there's a lot for us to learn in terms of the mother-daughter approach, the parent-child approach, and how things have changed with time. So inshallah, we can all take lessons from this and be able to help each other improve our relationship with the Quran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.